Hey guys, I am here with a new thing that I am doing. It's going to be a podcast style type of thing. And I'm mainly doing this because I have anxiety and this kind of helps. I have a really bad habit of talking to myself a lot, but oftentimes when I talk to myself, I have a lot of really good ideas that I don't really remember that well because I don't record them, I don't put it on paper. It's just kind of goes into the universe and is never to be seen again. But also because I'm alone a lot, um I'm kind of like my own best friend. I talk to myself a lot, as I've said before, and I thought it would be interesting if I could put this into a podcast format and just put it out there for other people to listen to, what have you, and see if I can cause discussions for myself because I am just so deathly bored of a lot of things. Just so bored. Um, a lot of my anxiety comes from stagnation, or I guess you could say the feeling of stagnation, because currently I'm not in school due to where I live right now. Um, I had to come back to us. Well, not come back, but I had to move to a small town for a little bit to take care of my grandmother because she had a really bad medical situation about 6, 7 months ago. So like November, towards the end of November, and she's much, 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 much better now, in a much better state of health. But we are still trying to, move things along, and I'm going to be heading back to school, and I'm going to be moving back in end of July or early August, but you know, but since I've been here, I haven't been able to take online classes. You know, there's not really much to do. The only thing I can really do to make me feel like I'm having some sort of progress in my life is to go to the gym. I go to the gym. I try to go to the gym every morning. As of recent, I was on a really good schedule with going to the gym every single day, sticking to my workout routines, changing them up every once in a while once I've hit my plateau and everything. But getting to the main point of this topic of this podcast is the way that my anxiety has really affected my life in a negative way. And that way is the panic attacks, the anxiety attacks. They've wreaked kind of havoc on my life and how I feel as of recent. And it's kind of hard when you don't have many people to talk to about it. Sorry. It's kind of hard when you don't have many people to talk to about it and you just kind of feel like alone. And part of me making this is so that I could, listen, people can tell me their experiences with anxiety if they have it, like I do. And I'm going to explain this whole situation and what's transpired and everything. So, for the majority of my life, I've had pretty bad anxiety. Like, I never realized it was this bad, but I've always had like a veneer of anxiety around me all the time. I remember when I was younger, whenever I'd have to interact with people my own age, because, when I was younger, for a good portion of my life, I was an only child, and I pretty much hung out with just older people, adults, I guess you could say. And so, whenever I would have to hang out or be around children my age, go to school, etc., I would kind of get a little anxious about that. Now, once I finally got there and finally settled in and got comfortable, things weren't as hard. But in the beginning, they kind of were because I just was a very anxious child. And then, as I got older, it kind of got worse. I remember when I was in high school, which wasn't that long ago, but specifically my freshman year, I would do this thing where before I leave the house, you lock your door before you leave the house, and I would walk to the bus stop, which was a block away from my house. I'd have this really weird thing of I'd lock the door. I know I locked the door, but for some reason in my mind kept telling me, yeah, you didn't lock that door. Maybe you should check it. So I would sit there for a little bit and like jiggle the doorknob. Just keep jiggling it. Like just keep, fidgeting with it, even though I had solid confirmation that it was locked. I remember one time specifically when I had walked all the way to the bus stop, and I just had this urge, this fear that I did not lock the door, and that for whatever reason, because I didn't lock that door, something was going to happen. So I ran all the way back home to sit there, jiggle the door, realize that it was already locked, look back, see that the bus had already came and left, had to run maybe 4 or 5 blocks down to catch the bus again, to get on the bus to go to school. And that to me is crazy looking back, that I did that, and I did that more than one time. When something like that is influencing your life in that negative way, it's probably best to talk to someone about it. But at that time, I was so used to it that I just thought it was normal behavior for me, or I guess normal behavior for most people. And so pretty much throughout my high school career, I kind of found a way to quell that form of anxiety or OCD or whatever you want to call it with the door knob thing. I just had to force myself to trust myself that I had the strength, the good fortune, or the ability to just know that I locked that door, and later on in my high school career, it did get a little bit worse. Well, not a little bit worse, but like I had situations where I would, like, when I'm walking down the street sometimes, and it still happens today, it happens a lot more today. I'll be walking down the street and I'll like start walking weird because I have this perception that for some reason someone is out here just looking at me, judging me while I'm walking and stuff like that. I have no idea why that is. I freeze up when I have to walk in front of a group of people. And sorry if my words come out slurred. I'm just kind of expressing a lot of ideas right now. But when I have to walk by a group of people, my body kind of tenses up, and that is when I start walking weird, and not when I was walking previously where I was walking fine, but I only start walking weird when I think that I'm walking weird, if you know what I mean. And so with that's just one of my tics, forms of anxiety. But recently, this is the big thing. So about a week or two ago, my aunt, my grandmother, we went to go visit my cousin in the hospital, and we stayed there for about an hour. And afterwards, we were going to go to this Japanese restaurant. Right? We went to we went to the restaurant, and I remember sitting there, and my stomach felt weird, and then my throat started tightening, and then I felt like I couldn't breathe. I kept feeling hot, and I felt really uncomfortable because it was in this really small building, and there were all of these people around me. And I just told my my aunt and my grandma, I was like, I'm just gonna go ahead and go to the bathroom because I do not feel good right now. I felt like I was gonna throw up. I felt like really sick to my stomach, but nothing ever came of it. And looking back, it wasn't it wasn't like a sick stomach. It was more of a nervous stomach. And I felt like I couldn't breathe. My throat was tightening. My heart was racing. My chest was hurting. So I came back and sat down after a little bit. Then I had to go back again because it came back. And then my aunt was just like, she came to the bathroom door. Sorry if you heard that. This like automatically turns off if you don't use it for a while. It's a gaming headset, but And so I remember like my aunt coming to the door and saying like, okay, we got the food to go. We're waiting for you when you're done. So on the way home, I just remember feeling like I don't feel so good. Like, you know. And so we finally got home. And I literally just went to bed. Like, I felt so bad. I just went to bed. My body was just felt so stressed. And so, like, I was so stressed. Like, I have never, except many years ago, I have never, prior to this day, ever missed a night where, I've never missed brushing my teeth at night. Or anytime, night or day, never. Because I hate that feeling when you have, like tart or whatever sitting on your teeth. I cannot do it. So I am always like, I cannot fall asleep without brushing my teeth first. And that night I did it. Like, that night was the first night in forever that I had done that, because I just felt so bad. You know, my stomach was weird. I couldn't eat, you know. You know that feeling when you want to eat really bad, but your stomach is like not letting you eat? That's how I felt. And so then the next day I woke up, had no appetite. Like, literally no appetite. My stomach was still filling away. Could not get food down. But also, I think this was also due to the fact that I'm a vegetarian. I've been a vegetarian for going on maybe like 2.5 years now. And I wanted to eat some meat again, start eating meat again and incorporating it into my diet, because I wanted to gain more muscle and more protein and stuff. By the way, you see my nails? You know, I wanted to incorporate more protein into my diet and whatnot. And, you know, I know that can cause upset stomach, because we kind of lose the enzymes, or have less of the enzymes that help us break down and digest meat. So I knew that I was going to feel something, right? But yeah, it was terrible. So I think that probably played in combination with the anxiety attack. And my aunt was like, yeah, I think you had an anxiety attack, because your uncle had the same thing. And I pretty much had all the exact same symptoms or whatever. And then I started to feel anxious, because I'm just like, what if there's more to this than just an anxiety attack? I started feeling anxious about the fact that maybe I'm actually really sick with something, and it just exhibits the same signs as anxiety. And that led to another another attack that night. But this one was it was much worse. And so I remember I could not eat food. I could not eat. My appetite was gone, and my stomach was feeling a certain way. So I remember coming into my room, laying down, because my aunt had just called me to come eat, and we were having salmon. And I tried to eat it, but I couldn't do it. So I just told them, I was like, I'll come back in an hour and I'll try again. I'll come back in an hour. So I come back at like 8:30 and I try to eat it again. I get like 1/4 of the salmon down, and then my stomach is like, yeah, no. My body is just telling me no. I go to my bedroom, I go to lay down, and my body just, like, my stomach starts to hurt, my chest starts to hurt, my heart is pumping, like the air in my lung, like I feel like I can't get air into my lungs, my throat is closing in on me, and like I feel hot and stuff. And so I was just laying on my bed, and I just start shaking, like just shaking so bad, like like I feel like I couldn't control anything about my body. And it's one of those situations where I really wanted to go to sleep, but I just couldn't. My body just kept keeping me awake. When you're shaking and you feel hot and you feel uncomfortable and your abdomen is hurting and stuff and your chest is hurting and your heart is pumping, you can't go to sleep. And so I remember like just getting up and walking to the bathroom in pain and just sitting there. I was like scared I was going to throw up, but nothing came of it. I was just uncomfortable and in pain. It was terrible. And so that night was like, it lasted for about 2 hours. And so the next morning I went to my aunt and I was just like really upset. I told her like that was one of the worst nights I've ever had. Like I felt like I was going to die. I felt like I was going to die. And it was one of like the worst feelings you ever have, because I understand that death is a part of life. Like there cannot be life without death, but it just felt like in that moment that night, I felt like, okay, am I like dying right now? Like, is this it? And it was scary. And I felt alone and everything. And so my aunt was like telling me, like, I know you have anxiety. You've had it for a very long time. And so she's trying to make me appointments to see doctors and therapists and psychiatrists right now, which has really calmed my nerves, because it feels good to feel like someone's there with you, you know, and that they're helping you and whatnot. And I've been reading books on how to control my anxiety and whatnot. And it's been kind of helpful, but it happens. I get like little like jitters and attacks every once in a while here and there, you know. But listen, I kind of have to go, because I have to go to a thing for my family. They want to go out to eat in this city that's like an hour and a half away from us. So I have to start getting ready. But it felt good to be able to express some of the things I've been feeling for a little bit now. So if you watch this, thank you. You can comment if you want to. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.